Okay, so today we're really going behind the curtain in the world of aviation.
Behind the scenes, yeah.
But not pilots, not air traffic control. This is all about aeronautical information specialists.
You ever heard of that?
I haven't.
A lot of people haven't, but it's such a critical role.
So these are the people that make sure the pilots have the most up-to-date, I don't know, maps, weather reports, any intel they need to navigate safely. You sent me some cool stuff about this, so let's unpack it.
Yeah, this career guide you sent over is really fascinating.
Yeah.
It's a cool glimpse into, like, the day-to-day of an aeronautical information specialist and the skills and, like, what the career path looks like.
It's interesting to me. It's like they're almost like the guardians of information in this world where accuracy is the difference between, smooth sailing and a major incident.
Right, exactly.
And one of the things that jumped out to me was just the variety of things they handle. They're analyzing data, how changes in data, like a new cell tower by an airport, impacts flight charts.
Yeah, and the guide uses this analogy of them being the bridge
Okay.
between the raw data and the people making split-second decisions thousands of feet in the air. Like that profile we were looking at of the senior specialist, remember they were mentoring their colleague
Yeah.
during a big system update, and that really shows the leadership potential in this. It's not just about data, it's about making sure everyone has what they need when it really matters.
So that's the, the sexy side of it. But what about, like, the nitty-gritty? Like, what are the pros and cons
Sure.
of this as a job?
Well, the guide highlights job security.
Yeah.
You have specialized knowledge, so of course there's good salary potential. But aviation is 247, so you're probably looking at irregular hours sometimes.
Right.
You
Okay.
constantly have to be learning new tech and regulations.
You always have to be on your toes.
It's a fast-paced environment.
But I mean, that's kind of exciting though, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Every day is a new piece of the aviation puzzle to figure out, and if you thrive on that, it could be a great fit.
And the guy does a really good job of breaking it down, like entry level, junior specialist, senior specialist. It seems like a very well-defined path.
It is, yeah, and a lot of people like that. You can start assisting, gain responsibility, and eventually you're mentoring others, leading projects.
And then there was this part, and this really blew my mind, the alternative titles section. So you can take the skills from this job and go do other things in aviation.
Exactly, you're not just stuck there.
Wow.
It mentions air traffic controller, you could be an aeronautical information service officer, even an airport operations officer. That knowledge is so valuable.
So if you're fascinated by aviation, you love data, technology, you want a challenging, impactful career.
Definitely look into it.
But we're just kind of scratching the surface. Let's dive into what it takes to be good at this job. Like, what kind of education are we talking about here? So you've got me convinced this is a cool job, but what does it actually take? What kind of education are we talking about to be an aeronautical information specialist?
Well, it's not just about, loving planes.
Right. Of course not.
You need that foundation, and there are a few different paths you could take, actually.
Really, it's not just one specific thing.
Right, so the guide mentions things like aeronautical engineering, makes sense,
Yeah.
aviation management, even geography.
Okay, so you're understanding systems and maps.
It all ties in.
Three-dimensional thinking.
Exactly, three-dimensionally, yeah.
What's interesting, they also mentioned computer science and just general IT. I get that there's technology in aviation, but how does that come in for aeronautical information specialists?
Think about it this way. You know how, like, some navigation apps on your phone will use traffic data to adjust your route?
Yeah.
Aeronautical information specialists use GIS, Geographic Information Systems. It's the same idea, but for planes. They're analyzing airspace, they're looking at weather patterns,
Yeah.
even like bird migration data
Oh, wow.
to make sure flights are safe and efficient.
It's like air traffic control, but like on a much bigger scale.
Exactly. And all that takes some serious computer skills. They're manipulating data, they're generating reports, they're troubleshooting anything that could impact safety. So yeah, a good IT background is really helpful.
So it really is, like we were talking about earlier, this blend of a bunch of different things.
Right, and that's what makes it interesting. And the guide makes a good point that the learning doesn't really ever stop.
What do you mean?
New tech is always coming out, regulations change.
So you're telling me even when you get the job, you have to keep learning.
You've got to stay updated, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where those professional organizations come in.
Oh, right. Like what?
So they mentioned the National Air Traffic Controllers Association. You have networking, you can find a mentor, you get to see what the latest industry trends are. It's a good way to keep learning.
So it's not even just what you know, it's who you know too.
It's both, for sure. You've got conferences, workshops, even just subscribing to the right magazines, all that keeps you ahead of the game. Because
Yeah.
in this field, if you get complacent, it could be bad news.
So you've painted the picture of a challenging but really cool, important job. Let's get into the specifics. What are the skills you use every day that make an aeronautical information specialist really good at what they do? Okay, so we've talked about education, staying updated, but what about like the everyday? What makes a great aeronautical information specialist? Like, what are those skills you're using on the job?
You're not going to be shocked to hear that problem solving is a big one.
Right, makes sense. You're dealing with a ton of moving parts and lives. You can't be flustered easily.
You've got to think on your feet, for sure. The guide uses this phrase, it sounds very official, monitoring and critical thinking. But basically,
Okay.
you're not just looking at T data, you're looking for things.
Uh-huh.
Like, is there some kind of pattern here that could be a problem later?
Right.
Does this weather report not match what the sensors are saying? It's like connecting the dots all the time.
Being a detective, but instead of clues, it's like data points.
Exactly. And the thing is, you can figure it all out, but if you can't explain it to someone,
Right. What good is it?
you've got to communicate it. So that's another thing they emphasize. Being a good communicator, both writing it down and saying it out loud.
Yeah, because if the pilot needs info, they need it clear, and they need it 5 minutes ago.
Exactly. You're the bridge between all that complex stuff and the people in the cockpit. So, yeah, communication is key.
And it's not just talking 8T them. The guide mentioned active listening, too. Why is that important?
Think about it. You're the aeronautical information specialist. A pilot calls, they're worried about something on their route.
Oh, okay.
You've got to really hear what they're saying, figure out what they need from you, and then give them the right info back.
So it's being that calm voice when maybe things are a little tense.
Exactly. And remember how we were talking about things changing all the time in aviation? You got to be flexible. New tech, new rules, something unexpected happens. You just roll with it.
So it's not enough to know a lot. You have to be able to learn more fast.
That's it. And it's easy to get caught up in the tech side of it, but you're part of a team too. Collaboration, being a good teammate, that matters.
It always comes back to people, even in these high-tech jobs. It's true.
So, to recap, if you're good at analyzing, great at talking to people, you can adapt to anything, and you're a team player, that's a recipe for success.
This has been really interesting. I had no idea how important this role was. You've really brought it to life.
It often gets overlooked, but as we've seen, it's vital. You need the skills, you need to always be learning, and you're dealing with people's safety.
It's more than just dots on a map. It's getting everyone home safe.
That's a great way to put it.
So to everyone listening, if you love that behind-the-scenes world of aviation, if you love data, if you want a job where you really make a difference, this could be it.
It's not easy, but it's definitely rewarding if you're up for it.
And next time we're on a plane, we'll think of all the people working hard to get us there, thanks to them. Safe travels, everyone.